Hello and welcome back to Eufy Designs. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. We are going to work on the EufyMake E1 today, and we're going to do some live projects. Now, the first project I have is going to be a fridge magnet with some 3D depth relief on it. And then we're going to do another project with acrylic, sort of like we did the other day. So if all that sounds good, sit back and relax, and we will get it started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Eufy. This is the EufyMake software. I've already taken a snapshot of the fridge magnet. So what we want to do is we just want to drag and drop in our color image first. And we're just going to say, yes, fit the canvas. And it will bring that image in. And then we're going to want to rotate it 90 degrees, like so. And then we're going to want to scale it down to the size of our magnet. And as you can see, when we scale it, you can see the magnet below it just slightly. And we're going to want to center it as best as possible. So something like this. And I'm just going to stretch it just a tiny bit up and just a tiny bit over. And then we're actually going to crop it. So I'm going to use the free crop. And this is so we don't waste a whole lot of ink. And we're just going to bring it up until right about here. We're going to have a little bit of an overspray, but not a lot. And then we just click off, and there's our image. So as you can see, if I lower the opacity on this, it's right in line. We have a tiny bit of overspray on the left, right, top, and bottom, but not a huge amount. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the image. I'm going to adjust the brightness just slightly, probably to a 6, and the contrast to maybe a 3. Other than that, we're going to leave it fine. We're going to leave it the same. So we're just going to click on the canvas again. And now we're going to click on the actual image, and we're going to customize the texture. So I'm going to bring in a custom texture. And let me find it here. Should be on my main drive, and then under EufyMake. And there it is. So we're going to bring that in. It's going to generate the depth map from that image. That is an actual depth map image. And the thickness, we're going to bring it down to about a 0.7. And we're going to bring the smoothness up to a 0.6. And then we're going to take ink saving mode, and we're going to drag this up till it reaches about 50%. So that's going to help you save a little bit of ink as well. It's not a huge savings depending on what you're printing, but it does give you some savings. So I'm going to go in here and preview this. And as you can see, there is a little bit of depth there, especially on the water and on the fish, but the water is going to be the highest point here. So we are going to have a little bit of depth to it. I may take the thickness up to 0.8 just to give it a little bit more. And we're going to keep the smoothness at 6. And I'm going to re-estimate it. Says it's going to use about 1.3 millimeters of ink and about 10 minutes to print. So we're going to go back here. And again, with our image selected, you cannot change if it has gloss or anything like that. When you do a custom texture, it will automatically add gloss to it. on a color raised. So what it's going to do for color raised is it's going to use white to raise that ink up to build that texture. So we got everything set up. It looks good. We're going to go to print. It's going to send it to the printer. And while it's doing that, it's calculating how high to raise it and everything else. So now it's estimating the ink volume, and it says it's going to use 1.29 milliliters of ink. And so we're going to hit start, and it is going to raise and lower the bed and start printing. So let me flip my camera here so you can sort of see this. Sorry about the reflection. We can actually lower this until it does its thing here, so you can sort of see how this is going to work. So you can see our magnet on here, and it's going to raise and lower that bed while it injects ink, and then it will start printing. Now when it starts printing, I'm going to raise the cover back up, but you should still be able to see some of the UV light. So see, it's going to raise it all the way up. And now it's going to start printing. So now you see that UV light, it's printing white and then curing it, printing white, curing it. And it will continue to do that to build up the layers, and then it will print the color as well on top. So we got about 10 minutes roughly, and we can go ahead and get our next item set up. So for the next item, I'm doing a Happy Father's Day item on clear acrylic. What I've done is I've just changed the background to black. You can change your background over here to any color you want. It will not print that color. Just so you know that. I just do it so I can see it because this is a PNG. So if you have trouble seeing any of your graphics that you bring in, if it's white, for instance, or white text, you can change your color of your background over here. Technically, this is the material color, but you can change it, and that way you can see it. So I'm just going to change it to a light gray for right now. And then once we actually get ready to print, I'm going to change that material color back to white. The reason I do that is so the program doesn't think there's a white back, or the program doesn't think there's a colored background, and it's not going to try to print that color. Technically, it shouldn't, but just to be on the safe side, we do change that. So as you can see, we'll have this ready to go once this other one's done. So let me switch back to the camera here. There we go. Let me make it bigger. So as you can see, it's still printing, still curing. Unfortunately, there's not a great way to show the printing process. You can open the top here. There is a window up here that you could open. But I find that you get more of a smell when you do that. So I prefer not to do it. But you will be able to see the result here in the next few minutes pretty easily. So the other things that that we're going to do, let me switch cameras here again, is we've already got our clear acrylic cut for this next project. I've already applied the EufyMake acrylic preparation pads. So we've already applied that to this side. This side still has the paper on it, and as you can see, I've drawn a line across here. Now, I should be able to somewhat see that line when it takes the snapshot of this, and that will help me line up the graphic, or at least know where the graphic's going to lay in essence to this line back here. And the reason is this is going to go into a light up fixture. So when I put this down in here, that's the depth of where that line's at. So that way you don't waste ink and you don't have, you know, any images below this this cutout here. And this cutout has LEDs in it. So when we plug it in, it will light up. So that is the main reason that I did the line here on the back. And my hope is that we'll be able to see that in the snapshot and be able to line that up. If for some reason you don't see it in the snapshot, the other thing you can do is just put a small piece of tape, pinstriping tape or painter's tape, as long as it's straight, and line it up with that line. Then when you peel off the tape, there shouldn't be any overspray or anything on there. So we're just going to set that aside for the moment while this is printing. So ceramic coasters, ceramic magnets, all those things are great and easy sellers to create with your EufyMake E1. Of course, spam callers, gotta love them. But you can do so many more things. We've done bookmarks. We've 3D printed white bookmarks with our Bamboo Labs 3D printers back here. And we can print on these bookmarks, and they come out amazing. I've shown those in a previous video. The other thing you can do is you can 3D print phone cases in white and then make a custom phone case with the Eufy E1. You can also buy phone cases that have a sublimation metal in it. I don't have one handy right at the moment, but it's basically a silicone case with a piece of white sublimation metal in it. And you can print on that as well. So lots of cool little things that you can do to quickly prototype or make items for your shop or your loved ones. It's a great machine. Haven't had a lick of issues with it. I know a lot of people out there talk about ink expiring and that sort of thing. With white, it's not as much of an issue. The colors are where you're going to run into some issues with maybe it expiring before you actually use it. And the reason for that is because it mainly uses white and gloss. Yes, there's black. Yes, there's cyan, magenta, you know, the normal colors. But you're going to use more white and you're going to use more gloss than anything else in this printer. So keep that in mind. Also, don't go out and buy 20 sets of white or 20 sets of gloss or a different color, for instance, unless you are going to be printing nonstop on a production style of a project. Because again, those inks have an expiration date. And once the expiration date hits, the printer locks it out from being used. So you will not be able to use that ink at all. I've heard of some people contacting Eufy and getting that ink exchanged. That seems to be somewhat the norm at this point, but I don't know how much longer they're going to do that. So by the time you watch this, that may not be an option anymore. So be very careful when you buy your ink. Kind of plan it, you know, if you have a large project coming up, I can guarantee you're going to use lots of white. I can guarantee you're going to use lots of gloss if you're using the gloss on the prints. So definitely, you know, at least have one extra of each. And then as soon as it starts to get about 50%, order another one. That's just the way I do it. I don't print every day with this. In fact, this has actually been in moisturizing mode for 3-4 days now, and it was in its cleaning cycle and moisturizing cycle, which it does automatically. And all I had to do was inject ink. I printed 4 white squares on my silicone mat, which is from Samcraft, the fat mat, and peeled those directly off just to get some of the cleaning solution and stuff out of the lines. 4 may not have been enough, but it looked white when I pulled it off the mat. So I'm pretty confident that that it got most of it out. So if anybody has any questions or anything, just throw them up in the comments. Again, we are printing on the EufyMake E1, and we are doing real world projects. The first project that we have going is printing, and you'll see that light there as it's printing. We can actually check in on the software, and we can see where it's at in its cycle. So we'll go back to our fishing magnet, and I believe we can see where the cycle is if we go to our machine. So it's 87, 88% complete. Right up here, it shows you your print progress. Again, all we did is we drug in our color image first, made some slight adjustments to it, and then we lined it up. And then we brought in our custom raised texture, which we went to custom texture and loaded that depth map in. And then we raised the thickness to 0.8, the smoothness to 6, and then the ink saving mode to 50.63. Other than that, we hit print, and that's what's going to come out. So we're going to see just how close, and we're going to zoom to fit here. We're going to see just how close this is to this image. I'm just going to drag this here in the center, and this will be done momentarily. This is a high-res AI-generated image. I believe I got this off laserpix.com. And then I used a AI program to create a detailed depth map for this. And that's how we got that depth map. So if you wanted to see what that depth map looks like, we can just drag it in here. And once it loads, that's what the depth map looks like. So as you can see, the darker areas are not going to be as raised. The white areas will be raised. So I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this. The reason I take screenshots of the finished print is so I can keep track of how much ink usage or how many projects I've been able to complete with a set of ink. So let's go ahead and grab this out. So it is done. We're going to open this up. We're going to take it out, and we're going to show it to the camera. And that's probably not the best lighting just because of the way the lighting is coming from the printer. So let's switch to this other camera here. So there is the way that came out. And as you can see, it has some depth to it. See if I can get my camera to focus. There we go. So you can see really the water line is probably the highest point. There is some depth built up. And as you can see, it came out really vibrant and colorful. Very, very nice. Quick and easy, 10 minutes. You got your fridge magnet that has a raised texture. You can actually feel the texture on it. You can feel the texture on the fish, on the trees in the background have a slight texture, and then that water line really has a raised texture, and then you can feel the texture on the fish as well. So really, really happy with how that came out. That is the benefit of the EufyMake E1, as we took a white ceramic magnet and made it into something that is truly breathtaking, even with just a tiny bit of raised area. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our acrylic, and we got to switch beds first. So let me switch cameras here so you can see how that's done. All right. So here's our EufyMake. We just flip this little lever right here. This bed will lift out. We will then push open the back door. And we will put our larger bed in. So there is a little protruding square that you just slide that into. And then once it's in, I always pull it out this way and then I lock it. And then you just want to make sure it's secure. We want to remove any debris or anything that the laser might pick up that is higher than the object we're putting in there. So if you have like animals and have pet hair or anything like that, make sure that it is relatively clear, because the camera may pick that up and your focus will be off of your object. So definitely make sure that any type of hairs or little debris or any other item on the mat is cleared off. Okay. So now we're going to place this right in the center. And I'm just going to take a normal carpenter square, and we're going to line this up. So I just get it right here on the edge. And there we go. So now we go back to our software. We open up our software and we take a snapshot. That is going to raise and lower the bed and measure the item. So I know this item is 3 millimeters thick. So we're just going to see what it shows as the thickness of this item, but it should be pretty close to 3 millimeters. But it will measure its height. And while it's doing that, we're going to switch this to acrylic. And standard quality is perfectly fine for this. I'm also going to adjust this slightly with a 9 on the brightness and 2 on the contrast. And we're going to do CMYK first and then white. And we're going to do 5 layers of white. And the reason that we're doing that is we're actually going to print this reverse. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to flip horizontal. The reason I'm doing that is because I want the smooth part of the acrylic to face the customer. The print's going to be on the back, so we want to mirror it so it shows through the smooth part of the acrylic, if that makes sense. So we've already adjusted our image. We've just added a tiny bit of brightness, tiny bit of contrast. And now what we're going to do is, once this is finished measuring, it will give us the measurement here as soon as it's done. You can go back to selection and you can see that's 84% done. It's saying the print surface is 4.5 millimeters. I know that that piece of acrylic is about 3 to 3.5, so we're right in the correct range for that. Now, if you measure an object and you know that object is 3 millimeters and it says 20 some millimeters, retake the snapshot, let it measure again. So now it's taken the snapshot. We can see in the background there, and we're just going to go ahead and make this white. just so we have the color. And we want to reduce this in size proportionally. And let's see if we can see that line. So I sort of see the line. It's basically right here, right where that little mark is. I don't know if you all can see that, but it's right here. So I'm just going to enlarge this again proportionally till I get to the edge of that line, and I'm going to raise this up. Now, to help center this, even though it looks like we do have a little bit of a skew, possibly, so I'm just going to type in 395.8 or 395.2. Let's see if it'll let me do it. 395. It will not let me do it. So let's do, or not 395, sorry, 359.5. And we actually need to go the other direction. So I'm going to do a negative. See if it'll let me do a negative. It may not. Let's return this to 0. And let's go this way with it. So we want like a 1 point or like a 0.5 just to get this straight. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my elements, shape. I'm just going to throw a block in here, and I'm going to make this block red. And the reason I'm doing this is I just want to put this right where that line's at, or where I can just barely see that line. So that line is right here. And now we're going to stretch it. And this is just going to help us line up our image a little bit better. The camera is great, but it's not completely accurate. So this will also help us rotate this to where we have a little bit better alignment. So now that we have that aligned, and I'm happy with that, the spacing looks good. We're going to do the same to the top. So I'm just going to copy and paste this and drag it up to the top. And we're just going to, because we know this line is straight. So I'm just trying to make this image as straight as possible to the piece of material that we have in here, if that makes sense. So we got it pretty good there. I mean, it's just barely, it's like a 0.12 is what we needed. So now that we have that aligned, now I want to make sure that it's aligned left to right, which it looks like it is. It looks like it's pretty close. If anything, it needs to go this way. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys and just tap it. And maybe that was too far. So now that we have everything lined up, we're going to delete our squares because we don't want those to print, obviously. We've already mirrored the image. We've made sure that it is at 100%. We are doing it on a flat. We're not doing any raised texture whatsoever. And we're doing CMYK, 1 color, and then 5 white. And that should give us a nice print that will show up on the acrylic. So we're going to go ahead and hit print. It's going to send it to the printer. It's going to tell us it's going to take 8 minutes and use 0.40 milliliters of ink. And as you'll notice, the majority of it is the white. As I said, you're going to use a lot more white and a lot more gloss than anything else. So we're going to go ahead and hit start. And I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and I'll let you watch this. I personally cannot watch it because of the light. So I'm just going to let you watch it. It's printing in real time. So hopefully you'll be able to view and see all that. Well, you won't be able to see it because the bed raises so high. But hopefully you'll be able to at least see some of it. And if nothing else, we can always come back to me. So it doesn't look like my camera's high enough. And you're not going to be able to really see the print anyway, the way that this is set up. So let me just come back to me. Why am I so high here? Something happened with my camera or screen. There we go. Sorry about that. So we are now printing on the clear laser cut acrylic. We mirrored our image, and let me just add this back to stage so we can view this. It's going to take approximately 7 minutes. So because this has white lettering, I'm just going to change this back to brown or any other color but white so we can see it. So as you can see, the image is mirrored, all the text is mirrored, and it's going to print mirrored on this clear acrylic. So when we take the acrylic off the front, it will have the smooth side of the acrylic facing the customer. So it should be a pretty cool effect. Very simple, very cheap to create something like this for your customers and or relatives with the EufyMake E1. Again, this is all real time. If it messes up, you're going to see it. So that's the way I like to do it. I don't like to do prepared videos. I like to do it live, so that way you can see in real time how long it's going to take and what all is involved. So we're just printing away on this. And like I said, this canvas color is not going to really matter as far as print goes, but I always turn it back to the color of my material before I print. So let me get this light set up here. And since we're not going to use this camera anymore, so there is the light box or the light stand for this. So let me remove this. So it's just a simple wood block with a cable and an LED embedded into it. And it has a switch on it so you can turn it off and on. That's all it is. You can get these on Amazon for pretty cheap. I want to say this was maybe $4 or $5 maybe. And this is 6 inches long. So I've cut the acrylic to that size, and then it will just slide in there. So we'll put that down here for a moment. This will be done printing here shortly. The EufyMake is a great printer. Very easy to set up, very easy to use. Does it have caveats and a few issues? Yeah, all machines do. My $4,000 or $5,000 laser machines have issues from time to time. 99.9% of the time, it's not the machine. It's user error. It's you doing something that it doesn't know what you're asking for, or doing something incorrectly. So my best advice is to watch YouTube videos like this one, and that happens in real time. Watch the review videos. Now those will be a little bit more scripted. They won't show you all the process of how to do it and so on and so forth, but you will be able to see the end results. And then join the Facebook groups. Facebook groups are very important because 99.9% of the support that you're going to get is not necessarily the support from the company. It's support from other users. Pardon me there. Throat was getting a little dry from the smells. So definitely join the Facebook groups, and there's several of them out there. Some of the groups have some toxicity to them. People don't like people repeating questions, even though you're brand new. Use the search function. Try to search for your answer first. If you cannot find any information, then ask the question. There's only a few of them out there that are like that. Most people will help you because most people have been where you are at, whether you're a experienced user or a new user. So keep that in mind. And then when you become more experienced, then you can go on there and you can, explain the way you would do it, or maybe you can answer somebody's question. And it's a circle, it's a circle of life. So definitely do that. It is very common to have some people that are just, for lack of a better term, they're assholes. And they have nothing better to do than to be keyboard warriors on some of these groups. Don't let those people discourage you from learning your machine, from getting information. Just ignore them. Tell them, hey, didn't need the rudeness, and walk away. It's as simple as that. A lot of these groups are extremely helpful. They have lots of people with lots of knowledge, some more than others, but at one point, everybody was brand new to this machine. I can guarantee you that nobody has ever bought a laser or a UV printer or a 3D printer and just immediately was an expert at it. Not even the YouTube guys that do this for a living. They all started at ground zero at some point. So don't be afraid to get started and get rolling with any machine, whether it be a 3D printer, whether it be a UV printer, or a laser machine. Don't be afraid to get started. If you have questions, YouTube and Facebook are your greatest resources. ChatGPT will help here and there, but I've seen some instances where AI gets it wrong. So focus on the Facebook user groups and YouTube first. Those are going to be your main sources of resource and to get your questions answered, to see other people's creations, ideas, settings, that sort of thing. So don't be afraid to use those. Don't be afraid to ask questions, but just to save yourself a little bit of angst, use that search function in Facebook in the group first to see if somebody's already asked that question and maybe it's been answered already. So this is almost done. So I'm going to switch back to this camera here for a moment. And as you can see, we have our image that we originally had created. Let me flip this back to a different color so we can see it. And now our print is done. And again, I always take a screenshot. So if you don't know how to take a screenshot, you can Google that. If you're on Mac, it's Command Shift and 4, and it lets you screenshot a certain area, or Command Shift, I think it's Command Shift 3, and it will take an entire screenshot of your monitor. All right, so let me switch this camera back so we can see how this turned out. Let's remove this for a moment. So as you can see, the light's kind of blown it out, but we're just going to remove it. I don't see any issues with the print. Everything looks like it did well. So we're going to do the reveal. So let me get my paper off of here. There we go. So we're just going to reveal this. And there it is. Now, granted, it's going to look a little bit different because of the light and everything coming from the printer. So let me switch cameras yet again, and we will get a better view of this. Oh, let me close this down so we don't get as much reflection off of this. See if that helps. So there is our print. Now it looks reversed in probably in your screen because my camera is mirrored. So there we go. So we took a simple piece of acrylic and we printed a design on it. Now let's add the final piece, which is the lighted part of the sign. So let me switch this back here. So all we're going to do is we're going to drop this down in here. And as you can see, my letters are just slightly above. And now it lights up. And again, that's just a simple piece of acrylic with UV on it. Now, I'm not sure if your camera is reversed yet or not, so let me just mirror it just in case. So that way it's readable. But very cool, very easy to do. And you could definitely sell these online. You can make custom ones. You could, send them to your family and friends. And all you need is laser cut acrylic and the stand and a EufyMake E1 UV printer. And it looks great even when it's off. And when you light it up, it looks great as well. So that's all I have for you today. We've created this with the EufyMake. Let me set this down. And we've also created a texture reliefed magnet. So it has a texture on it. Let me get this set up here. There we go. So you can see it has a raised texture to it right here. And the fish is also raised. And that's the first thing we did. Oh, why is he upside down? There we go. So very quickly and very easily, we've created 2 products in less than 40 minutes that would be great gifts, stocking stuffers, sellable items, or anything of that nature. Let's see. Brett says, I'm heading home early for a doctor's appointment. I'll listen on the way. Make me a new sign. You got to send me the graphics that you want, my friend. But yeah, very easily we did a light up sign, and we did a fridge magnet that has a bass fish on it with 3D relief texture. There you can sort of see that texture kind of pop out from that magnet. So two products, less than an hour. And all it took was a little lining things up and getting it going. So the EufyMake is a great machine, as I said. The one thing that you have to kind of watch is your ink. Definitely at least have 1 extra white and 1 extra gloss on hand at all times. The other colors you're not going to run out of as quickly. And the ink does expire. So don't go out and buy, 4 or 5 ink cartridges unless you know you're going to use them for a larger project. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you again for joining me on Utini Designs. I hope you got something out of this video. And if you want to see something different with the EufyMake, the 3D printers, or the lasers that I have, shoot me some ideas down below in the comments, and we'll see if we can't make that happen. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday afternoon, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day, and may the force be with you.